Okay, so this is going to be a how-to video on how to install a Boomba Racing blow-off valve adapter. I'm going to be installing it on a 2018 Ford Raptor. Should be the same process though for any 2017 all the way up to 2020 Ford Raptors. It's a fairly simple process. I did it here in my garage. It took me about half an hour to do, just with basic tools. These are going to be some of the tools you're going to be needing. You're going to need a 1/4-inch ratchet, a 3/8 ratchet, a 6mm Allen wrench, a screwdriver, a 15mm socket, a 13mm socket, and also an 8mm deep socket. You can have a regular 8mm socket, but it'll just make the process easier if you have an 8mm deep socket, and obviously the blow-off valve adapter itself. Alright, let's get to it. You're gonna have two 15s in the back, and then you're gonna have 2 on each side. 1, 2. These are gonna be the 13s up here. So you want to remove the skid plate to get to the blow-off valve. So we'll have to take these off. So I'm just gonna loosen them because I have a tool, an electric ratchet, to make it a little bit quicker. Alright, so once I got them loose, that's one. That's 2. Then you're going to want to get the 2 in the back, which are 15. Okay guys, so once the skid plate is removed, this is what it's going to look like underneath your Raptors. As you see there, I tried to take it off, obviously you can't do that yet. Go ahead and grab your screwdriver, and you're going to want to pop off that C-clip that's on the groove of that plastic elbow that mounts onto the intercooler. So go ahead and pop those off with your screwdriver, and you're just going to use a little bit of force. It might be a little bit difficult if you're on the ground, but if you just keep doing it, it's going to come off. Firmly grab it with both hands as I did here, and then just keep twisting it and pop until it pops off. I kept twisting and twisting, it didn't seem to do anything, so then I started going up and down. Once I was going up and down and side to side, it seemed to pop off, as you can see there. Just like that. So once you got it out, you're just going to want to push it back to the side. You're going to hit. Now you're going to have enough room to access these 8mm bolts right here. There's one down here, and there's one up here on top as well. And this is where the deep socket comes in hand. I mean, you could use a short socket, but the deep socket's better. It'll just make it easier. You throw the socket in there. I should be able to get that with my hands now. Then you're going to want to get the top one, which is
to unplug this as well. There's just a little button up here or a clip you just push down and it pops right off like that. Just push that back to the side and it'll just make it easier to get to that top 8mm bolt that you need to remove as well. Once you have it in there, let's go ahead and remove that too. 2 minutes in. All right guys, so I got the top one. That's what you're gonna be taking off right there. That's the top one. Then you got the bottom one. And don't lose those screws because you are gonna reuse those. Definitely do not lose the screws. So that was the top one. This is gonna be the bottom one right here. Here's the bottom one. Once you got those two off and you've unplugged your connector, that valve should just come right off like so. And that's the valve. Okay, so the next step is gonna be, you're gonna wanna mount the blow-off valve adapter first onto the intercooler bracket. You're not gonna be able to do the pressure relief valve and the adapter at the same time. You're not gonna be able to mount them at the same time. Reason being, you're gonna have to get, once you mount this onto the bracket, you're gonna have to put the 8mm bolts that you took off to get the pressure relief valve off. You're gonna have to put those first into these two holes right here, not the threaded ones, but the ones that are the bigger holes. You're gonna put the screws in there, and then that's gonna mount onto the intercooler bracket. So you're gonna want to put that first in there. And before you do that, make sure everything lines up. There's only one way that this can go as far as mounting onto the bracket. There's only one way it's gonna line up. Before you do that, obviously the connectors towards the passenger side. The connectors towards the passenger side. So you're gonna want to make sure the holes on the pressure relief valve and the blow-off valve adapter line up together. So as you can see right there, both holes line up together, and I'm able to get the screws provided with the blow-off valve from Boomba Racing. The screws are going to be able to go up in here, and I can screw them on there. If I have it on the wrong way, let's say I flip this around, the holes are not going to line up, as you can see, and now I cannot get the screw in there. So make sure you just, before you mount the adapter, the blow-off valve adapter onto the intercooler bracket, it's the correct way. All right guys, so just move this little connector out of the way. This is a bracket over there. I'm just gonna put the adapter again, make sure it's the right way, and it's just gonna fit right in. It's gonna be a nice snug fit. You can see it's being held by itself right now, but just to secure it, you're gonna want to put those 8mm bolts that you took off. And they're just gonna go right in that hole that you used, or the holes that were used to take off the pressure relief valve. You just have to wiggle it around a little bit until it gets in there. There's the bottom one. There's the top one. And you grab your socket, and you just start putting it back together. And you'll know once it's tight, because you're not going to be able to go anymore. Just get it nice and snug in there. Don't over tighten it. All right, so you move that out of the way. Then you get your pressure relief valve. Then you're gonna get your pressure relief valve. So obviously it's only one way to go. Just like this, because we already confirmed that before we put the adapter in there. And then it's gonna go in there, and then you're gonna use the 2 screws that was provided with the kit from the blow-off valve from Boomba Racing. And those 2 Allen wrenches, or Allen screws I should say, are gonna go right in the holes where the 8mm bolts were. Okay guys, so as you can see, I have the two 5mm Allen bolts that came with the kit bolted on here. So I got one down here and I got the other one up top. So once you have those on there, snug them in, put them tight,
Tighten them up. Snug them in.
tighten them up, move on to the next step. Make sure those Allen screws are nice and tight in there. Again, don't over tighten it. Just like that, the bottom one. I'm just gonna have to feel to get that top one in there. Okay, just one more little turn on the top one. Feels like you just go a little bit more on it. Go, and that's it. So once you got them nice and tight, don't forget to plug in your connector. Again, there's only one. So once you get it in, make sure there's only one way it can go in. And a little snap like that, and then that's in.
Alright guys, so once everything, make sure you put everything back in place. Go ahead and grab that plastic elbow and put it back into the intercooler inlet. Make sure you put that C-clip back into the groove on the plastic elbow there. Just give it a little twist, make sure everything's nice and snug, nice and tight in there. Go ahead and stay tuned. I do have a before and after of how the Raptor sounded before the blow-off valve adapter, and then after I put the blow-off valve adapter. Sounds pretty good. I really like the way it came out.